coming to live. Spirit and coffee. Got my coffee here. Yum, yum, yum. Ah, so good. Alrighty, let's get started. So, just been more news to come. So, for those of you in the state of New Mexico, obviously, as you know, they're going to continue to put on stay-at-home orders, lift a few things, whatever it is, okay? And there's a lot of things that I don't agree with, a lot of opinions that I have around this whole thing. It's so Twilight Zone-ish. um, and we just live in a very weird, convoluted dream right now. It's like a dream that you feel like you can't get out of. You know what I'm talking about, where you're like, please wake me up from this weirdness. And it's not so much that it's just the way that it's manifesting out, right? The human consciousness and the way it's manifesting and the weirdness that we're experiencing at this point. It just seems kind of off. And for those of you who don't feel like it's off, like this is normal, um, that's okay. But for there's those who are like, something's not right. There's just something not right, right? Something's not adding up. There's just some kind of weirdness happening and I can feel it. It's an internal thing. It's kind of like when you walk into a situation where you know that something's going to happen and you have that feeling in your gut and you're just like, this doesn't feel right. Something just doesn't feel right. It feels off. Something feels off. And what is that thing that's feeling off? Why do I feel off? Shouldn't I feel um good about this? And some people do. Some people feel good about it and some people don't. And why? It's because in this paradigm shift that we're going through in the recreation of this new era is really coming out sort of distorted at this point. It looks really distorted, kind of weird. Good morning, JJ. Kind of like, what in the world are we actually experiencing and perceiving right now? Okay. Now, it's cool in the sense that we have this world that is sort of blossoming to life. Mother Earth is waking up. Mother Earth is saying, okay, you're giving me time to rest, which is good. Like we have this beautiful peace happening, right? But then we also have the human condition as a part of this to like put sanctions on us and try to tell us what we should and shouldn't be doing. Like we're children that need to be disciplined and like go stand in the corner when I tell you to come out of timeout, you can, which is just weird, right? It's like I'm an adult, and I get to make my own decisions, right? It's good morning, Suze. Um, and whether those decisions are good, bad, right, wrong, whatever, they have consequences. And I think that most adults understand that consequences come with the choices that they make. And so that they are free to choose how they want to choose. Now, when someone chooses something where the consequences are not with the intention to harm others, there should be no harm placed upon you. But as humans, we know humans are humans and that they want to throw stones and they want to mind, souls, and body. Yes, people want to throw stones. And so the masses will start to show up. And it's kind of like when you think about Jesus, um, they're like, stone him to death, hang him, crucify him, um, you know, all of these crazy things because the sickness of the mind. And when you get what is called group think, right? And you get a bunch of people to believe a certain thing, people will start to turn on you. People that you were like, what? I could never see that you would do something like this to another human being. Like you're a good soul. And all of a sudden, your whole entire self has shifted into, I would actually harm another human being. Crazy, right? The human psyche, the human condition. And it happens all the time. And right now, what I see happening, and it's disturbing on so many levels because my sister and I were talking about this. They use something called double think, right? Where it's like Like we have, for instance, an address by our governor. People, I don't know if they listen to the words that are being spoke by people, like really listening, right? Really trying to understand and decipher. One thing was like, well, we're going to open up, this is double think. We're going to go ahead and open up these things, but that's not an invitation to come. Wait, what? Like, and for me, it's like, how do people not go, wait, what? What do you mean? It's a total invitation. What are you talking about? So now if I go, it's my fault, but you're the one who's it's like putting the carrot in front of the donkey and saying, come get the carrot, but you can't eat it, right? You can't eat the carrot, but I'm going to put it in your face and I'm going to tempt you with it. Which is such a convoluted, weird way to manipulate people in their mindset. I mean, it's a total mind F that they're doing. And, or, oh, these masks, I'm just, I want you guys to listen to the language. It's not scientific. It's not, we're talking about what they're saying. There's so much weirdness in what they're saying. You don't have to be a scientist to understand this stuff. Course, I do research on what viruses are and how viruses mutate and how we have viruses in us and all this stuff. But I'm talking about listening to the words that people speak, right? Because you can't hide your perception. Words are always going to describe a story. They're going to describe, and the truth will be revealed if you listen long enough. If you give someone the opportunity to talk long enough, the truth and their intentions will always come out. Just all you have to do is be quiet and let them talk. What if the people who run the world aren't human? Yeah, I've thought about that too, right? Like I've been watching The Matrix again. They're like Agent Smiths. They're like computer programs that don't give two shits if we die or live or whatever. They're just like parasites, maybe. I don't know. I've thought about that. Of course, I have these crazy thoughts all the time, deeper, darker. So now this is not to scare you, right? This is not about, I don't want to scare people because guess what? We get choice. And we are, for me, I believe in God. I'm protected by God, right? I have no fear because I believe in God. I believe I have faith. Some people don't. And again, that's totally a choice that you get to decide, right? Do you believe or not believe? Do you have faith or not faith? But here's the deal. So another thing that they say, which is just like, I'm just like so flabbergasted by it. I'm like, how do people not hear this, right? Because they're fighting about the science and we're gonna save people's lives by doing this. Wear a mask. We know that it's not 100%. It really doesn't help you, but it couldn't. I mean, we don't know for sure that it's 100%, but it can sort of help. So wear it. But don't wear it when you're working out because we know that's really toxic for you. That's bad for you. It's not good to use it when you work out because you can get very sick. What? Wait, what? So only when I'm working out, it's bad for me? You mean bringing in my carbon dioxide is only bad for me when I'm working out, but breathing in my carbon dioxide when it's any other time is not bad for me? Okay. Wait, what? The masks are good, but they're not good. So there's all of this double think, right? And people, I don't know that they're catching on to it, right? They're like save lives. And then they do this really crazy thing in the mind. And I just want you to understand, like listen to language, listen to people, right? This is about critical thinking at this point where they go, you know, um, yeah, you're saving other people's lives. So now it's my responsibility not to breathe in air or breathe out air, which is a natural thing. We were created this way. So now you're telling me the creator was wrong about how he created me or how this universe birthed actual human beings or however we came to be, that the design that God gave us was not correct and that you have the correct way to do it? Wait, what? We breathe, you guys. That's part of life. You have to breathe out the carbon dioxide. And then when we put a mask on, we're inhaling all that toxins. I have asthma. I can't wear a mask because I have asthma and it's suffocate. What about people who have claustrophobia and stuff like that? And now you're forcing people to do this, right? So it's just interesting, right? Now, here's the deal. This is not about right, wrong, good or bad, pointing fingers, making people wrong for wearing masks. That's fine. It's a choice, is what I'm saying. It's a personal choice, right? Shouldn't be forced upon us, but a choice. And the psychology that they're using behind of all of this is just insane. It's insanity. Listen to them. Go back and listen to the address of the people. Listen to what they're telling you. They told us masks don't help. CDC said the same thing. You guys just, it's crazy. It's just like, what? So for me, here's the problem. It's not the problem of is a mask good or not good. That's not the issue here. The issue is the psychology that's behind all of it that tells us let's act as though we're separate from one another. Guess what? We can identify you as not being a part of us by if you have a mask on or not. What did they do with this? They did this with color, right? They used to say, "Oh, we can identify and separate people by color," right? If they're darker, they're not part of us. If they're lighter, they're part of us. And then separation happens, right? And then you have years go by, and then people say, well, we're colored and they're not part of us. Instead of uniting and saying, well, we're all human, it doesn't matter. But it was a way to identify and distinguish and cause separation because that's the ego's greatest trick is to separate. So now all of a sudden, there's this separation in people wearing masks or not masks. That's the psychology I'm talking about. And instead of loving our brothers and sisters, now we can start to point fingers and start judging people. And now we think that we're the judge. And we think that we can tell people how to live their life. And if they don't pay attention, they must be bad people. Okay, let's go back to the basic teachings of Jesus Christ because I love Jesus. He has a lot of great things to say that are very simple. Let he who live without sin cast the first stone. Guess what? You have no reason to point fingers and judge me. There are tons and tons of opinions that I have that I keep my mouth shut about. Why? Because it's not up to me. And all of these platforms, right, will get these people to rally on their side. And then you have this long slew of people that are like, yeah, we should wear masks. Yeah, we should wear masks. And then you get a few people that chime in and then they battle and they're going at it. I've never seen so many people turn against each other in such a short amount of time. This is just sad. You've got to remember who you are. We're not here to fight amongst each other. We're all in this together. Our choices are our choices. I understand the consequences of my choices. I'm willing to take personal responsibility for the choices that I make. I don't need somebody to point a finger and tell me what to do. I know what I need to do. Why? Because I live under God's principles. I know that my intentions are not to harm. I'm here to love. How do we resolve? Because you'll have people who say, well, and they're saying just hateful stuff to each other. I just can't even, I'm just like, wow, really? Have we come to this that we're going to start to separate because of what? Because one person agrees to the science and the other looking at the science from a different perspective. And who gives a shit? How about we love one another? How about we have compassion for one another? How about we remember that? How about we remember that the people that are giving us these instructions, really, honestly, I believe, okay, this is a belief, are sociopaths and psychopaths. They don't give two shits about you. And now they're teaching us not to give a shit about each other. Really? Come on. Can't we just love and it's okay. I want to know, trust me. And I'm going to talk from my own life. I had a neighbor, right, come over and wanted to talk about masks. I don't want to talk about masks. I'm going to make my choice based on what I make my choices on. I don't need to justify it in somebody else's eyes, and I don't need to make them right or wrong about their choices. I just need to shut up, let them live their life, let me make my choices, and leave me alone. I love you. I pray for you. I hope that you have a great life. But we can't do that now, because what are we doing? We're setting ourselves up to fight amongst each other. Who's right and who's wrong? There is no right and wrong. There's just choice, and the choices we make have consequences. And are you willing to take on the consequences that come with your choices? And either spectrum has a consequence. Eventually, not wearing a mask might have the consequence of jail. Is it right for them to do that? No. Will they do it? Who knows? Possibility, right? Think about the craziness of humanity over the time. Okay, let's go back to like Rosa Parks, right? Or to the time where it wasn't okay for them. And she just said, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do. Like, I'm not harming anybody. And you're telling me I'm harming somebody because I want to sit down? I'm old. My feet hurt. I don't give a shit. I'm sitting down. And at that time, that was quote unquote the law. Not all laws are good, right? So when we follow God's law, right? And by God's law or the universal law, I'm talking about natural law. Natural law, okay, tells us what? That we experience life as a duality, but that everything that we choose has a consequence. Okay, there's different consequences to different things that we choose. That's it. People who say, I'm not going to wear a mask, right? There's a consequence for them. Part of the consequence could be ridiculed and nailed to the cross by their peers, but they're going to stand up for what they believe to be true. And then you have these people who wear masks, and there's consequences to that, like you breathing in your own toxins and you perhaps getting sick because you're not able to breathe. Our breath is the most important thing we have. We can't live without breath. It's the one thing we can't go without. Just think about it. We cannot go without breath for more than probably a few minutes. There's some that people that are trained to like go underwater and like hold their breath for a very long time, but most people probably couldn't go 2 minutes without their breath, without dying. But so we're cutting off the breath, and the breath is so critical for our survival. That's natural. It's natural for us to breathe, right? It's natural for viruses to exist. Life and death, natural. That's all natural law. You just look at it, that's natural law. Okay. There was a video that I saw about this man who talked about death, which was, it's a hard one for a lot of people. Of course, we don't want our loved ones to die. Of course, we want to live a long, fruitful life. But he talked about the beauty of death, and the way he described it was like brought me to tears. And the way he described life as it is right now, because there's good, right? So we see all these weird laws that are trying to come, but we also see nature's law coming up, which is beautiful, right? I love nature law, natural law, right? Because we go outside now and we see that the skies are clearer. We see that the water may be clearer. We see that the plants seem a little greener, or the roses seem a little happier, or the smell of the sweet Spanish broom on the wind smells just a little sweeter. Or we see kids outside playing instead of behind their computers. There's all these, we see families having dinner at the dinner tables. We see, there's so much beauty that's happening right now. What's distorted this beauty is the fact that we're coming in with these laws, these man-made laws, right? Which that's human law, and there's a consequence to that, right? But there's also this other consequence of like the beauty. So again, we have both. That is part of natural law. When I say esoteric wisdom, that's what I mean. It's all part of it. The whole thing. We can't escape it. We're under the same sky. So remembering that we're brothers and sisters, that is the beauty of it. Instead of getting caught up and tangled in the tiny little, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. Well, they're not doing this. That's, I mean, we're playing right into it. We're playing into it. We're playing into their beautiful designed separation. Let's keep it separate, right? Let's keep each other separate. That's not natural. It's not. We're not robots. You think people can really, there's very few people who can actually stay isolated by themselves without going crazy. There's very few people. We weren't designed that way. Do you think that was God's design? You think God designed us that way? You think the universe designed us that way to stay in isolation? We wouldn't procreate if that was the case. We wouldn't have male and female. We'd probably have a unisex, right? But no, it's the communion between two people. It's the communion between our brothers and sisters. It's the remembering that we are one under the sun. It's remembering that we are all here united together. That's the beauty. That's what we get to remember. And suddenly and so easily we've gotten amnesia and we want to point fingers, you're dumb, you're this, you're that, you're, it's so disheartening to see. It's the fabric is so fragile. It's like the human psyche is so fragile that it's so easy for people to want to point fingers. I have my opinions, of course, I'm human, right? Let's see. Hi, Auntie Christy. I think I said good morning. No one can make anyone individual what they want to do. Most people know this. I try to live by God's law. Influence. Tell me what you mean by influence, JJ. It's just very sad that people are prime example, like a commercial. Yeah. Marketing tactics, psychological tactics. I mean, it's all getting utilized. Can we remember to love one another? That's my question. Can we love one another even with a difference of opinion? Can we respect one another with a difference of opinion? Can we learn to say, you know what, it's my choice. I don't need to make other people listen and follow what I do. I am telling you, like I had my neighbor here. I didn't say anything. I mean, I said here, if you want to know what I choose or what I choose, I can tell you. But the reality is that I don't need to convince anybody to follow my choices. They're mine. I own them. And whatever consequences I suffer from them are mine to suffer. I strongly believe we're all equal in God's eyes. Yeah. Good morning, Scott. So what I say is, and then I ask you guys this, is to remember your brothers and sisters. Remember we're not separate. Remember we are one. Have compassion. And what do you have to be right about? What are you trying to convince people of, right? Why do we got to get on here? Okay, so the reality is, let me just tell you this way, because I do read people's comments and all I see is people bashing each other and I'm just like, wow. It makes me cry, right? Because I'm like, come on, like you can have your difference of opinion, but you have to be cruel to one another. Do you have to say hateful things to one another? And do we even have to be right about it? But it was funny because there was a comment, right, that one of my cousins made. It was like, oh, now it's mandatory for us to wear masks. And of course, you have all these people that are like, we have to wear masks. And, and I have my own feeling, but I'm not going to engage in a conversation because my issues with what's going on is nobody else's concern. Who cares what I think about my concerns? It's not going to change the mind of what people think. That's up to them to choose, right? It's up to them to decide what they want to choose and how they want to engage the whole situation. But there was this man, and he put a comment on there that really I liked because it seemed to like sort of dissolve all of my hangups on what's going on. Because it was a suggestive thing, and it was suggestive in a way that wasn't um it was it was playful. It had a childlike innocence. It brought you back to the silliness of it all, and I thought, God, this is a perfect way to perceive it because our perception is what's critical. How do we perceive what's going on? And I talk about this all the time, and I'm asking myself, how do I perceive this in a way that's going to support me? Because right now I'm not. Right now, the way Natalie perceives it, not Natalie's God self, our spirit, but the way Natalie sees it is she's pissed, right? She's angry. I could feel the fury inside me. And I said, okay, but this guy said something, and then it kind of just put water on the fire and dissolved it all. And really, all he said is, look, we're just a bunch of cool ninjas going to the supermarket. That's it. And I was like, okay. I don't know what it was about that comment that sort of like made me go, oh, like what would you tell a child, right? That might be fearful. You're a ninja. And then they put on the mask and they're like, yeah, I'm a ninja. And so this childlike innocence starts to arise within this kid, where instead of fear of like, oh, you're going to get this evil virus and blah, 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 and all these scare tactics that you say you use it and turn it into something. And that's been me my whole life, right? Turning the fear into something that's fun because you can, because it's our perception. It's all perception. It's all how you want to engage the situation. So basically, I liked his quote and I said, you know what? If anybody could ever convince me to do this thing, and you guys obviously know what my opinion is about it, which it doesn't even matter because I'm not here to steer you either way. I'm saying choose what you choose and know the consequences of what you choose, right? I have my choices, I choose them. But I'll just say my choice is probably not going to happen. But that quote or what he said was like, I'm like, you're the first person who's given me any reason why I would ever do this because I could play dress up and and be like a child in this craziness, because really to me it's craziness. And I'm like, how do I find my childlike innocence? Everything feels so heavy at this point. Where's the innocence? Where's the curiosity? Where's the love? Where's the ooh, you could go outside and do that, right? But every time you turn around, it seems like they're forcing more fear, more this, more that in your face. And it's almost like you're drowning to find your childlike innocence, your childlike heart. And I'm like, wow, that's a perfect way to think about it. If I had a child, that's what I'd be like. Okay, we're going to be ninjas today. Okay. What ninja do you want to be? Let's look up ninjas. What are ninjas? What do ninjas do? Are we warriors? What are we with it? And I'm like, wow, that's a really cool way to think about it. Because I didn't think about that before, right? Because we get so caught up in all of this very heavy, yes, heavy vibrational frequencies where our mind gets caught up. And my mind was getting caught up in like, how do I make this pleasurable? Because it doesn't feel pleasurable at this point, right? It just doesn't. None of this is comfortable. It's not supposed to be. And I get that. So, how do you find yourself back to balance? And I'm giving you guys myself as an example because that's what I do. I go through a process, right? Where it's like, how do I, the reality is, how do I engage this situation from something that's going to drive something meaningful in life? I always say this over and over again. It has to be meaningful for me. I have to be able to give back to humanity in a way that's meaningful, that's adding value and not taking away, right? How do I do that? How do I stay on point? How do I bring myself back to harmony and frequency when so much of it is getting thrown in my face? So much corruption and evil and this and that and scared and da 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 da, and it just piles on. And how do we bring ourselves back to harmony, to peace? What is the process? Am I perfect? No. Do I go through a process? Yes, we all do. That's part of it. Am I willing to put myself out there to say, this is the process that I do? Yes. Why? Because I know at the end of the day, I am trying to get back to love. I am trying to get back to peace and harmony. I am trying to give back to humanity the gift that God gave us, which is love. But the reality is we can't get back to love sometimes because we feel like we're drowning in all it's like, and then they're putting masks and they're suffocating us, and it's like, I can't breathe. I want to breathe. That's what we're here to do, is breathe. But we're getting suffocated. Is it, tell me it's not strange that this whole thing is about our lungs and suffocation, and I work in tobacco prevention, and okay, let's go on about that. But whew, okay, so let's see. People can relate. Let me just look at what you said, JJ. Healing yourself. I know you wrote this. The energy is so consistent influence from TV's music, low vibrations, which creates, yeah, uh, trashy people. Oh, yeah. Yes, and it's in everything, you know. Even I don't turn on the TV. Even I don't, I watch movies, listen to music, but a lot of the times I sit in silence, and even in that, you can feel the heavy energy. It's just everywhere. It's like Agent Smith, right, in The Matrix. I've been watching The Matrix again because it's such a good movie to sort of maybe understand kind of what's going on. That perhaps we're in a matrix, a holographic universe, which get quantum physicists and physics are now saying that we are in a holographic universe. And they're, so it is like a matrix in some ways. And if you know, in the Matrix, if you've watched the movies, Agent Smith is a virus, and he sort of inserts himself in everything, like everything, and takes over everything. Okay. And so in that, when we think about this, it's crazy because when we look at this and what's going on, you can't escape it. There's no escaping it. The whole entire world cannot escape what's going on right now. Everybody is a part of it. It's everywhere. It's like Agent Smith everywhere. And when we allow ourselves to drop into the cruelty or treat others or look at others separate from us, we then become that. We become Agent Smith. So how do we not do that? And how do we bring ourselves back to love and one and wholeness and unity? That's basically what I'm trying to say. Bring yourself back to unity. Doesn't matter if you think you're right, wrong, good, or bad about the situation. Love your brothers and sisters no matter what their choices may be. You don't need to judge their choices. It's theirs. Let them have it. I let people have their choice. It's not up to me to tell them they're wrong for their choices. That's not my job. I'm not here to judge. Okay. And it's not easy because I'm human, right? We want to judge. That's part of humanity. But that's part of the trick too. So it's crazy. It's like this crazy. It's crazy. It's not easy. Trust me. Come back to love. Come back to love. I'm love. I'm love. And the ego says, really? Are you love? Let me see. Let me play with you like let me taunt you like you're a little cat with a play ball. Let me see. Are you truly gonna love these people? Are you truly gonna let me entice you with this and see if it pulls you away from love? And guess what? We get amnesia. And then we're like, damn it, I gotta get back to love. How do I do that? Get me back to love. Because the ego steps in and you're like, oh, that totally wasn't love. I've got to recalibrate. Okay. Because that human nature, people will never agree on anything because they have their own opinion, and Their beliefs. Yeah, exactly. And it's true. And that's it. I have my beliefs. Are they right? No. Are they wrong? No. They're just mine. Doesn't make them right, wrong, good, or bad. So this platform is, I mean, I talk a lot about what's going on with me, obviously, because I talk from my perception, but the reality is this is to bring you back to remember that we are all one. We all live under the same sun. At least from my understanding, nobody knows how to leave this planet completely. So we're kind of all stuck on this planet together. And in knowing that, how do we begin to make our own choices from a place of peace and harmony and love and compassion? How do we bring ourselves back to love? How do we continue to go through the process that we're going through and then to transmute the energy, right, into pure light? How do we take the icky, sticky, ricky, the stuff we don't like, the stuff, and turn it back into love? How? There's a process. It's called spiritual alchemy. Go look it up. And the process that we go through, some of it right now, I would say we're in a tower event, and a tower event says that there's total destruction and chaos. We're going through this destruction of an old paradigm and belief system into a new one. This new belief system, right? And I'm talking about the way we perceive the world around us, right? And how we engage with the world around us. That as we step into that, we're asking ourselves, how do we step in powerfully? How do I choose to step in powerfully or not? Because you can totally deny the system if you want. That's totally your choice. Consequences either way. Understand what the consequences may be. Set yourself up to win. But we have to go through this. We just have to. I have to. I don't want to. I'm kicking and screaming a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But I know that it's necessary. Now, what comes out on the other end is to be determined, right? It's totally up to you. You get to take the wheel. Now is your time. Let's see. Agent Smith is applying all his energy towards destroying Neo, and and all that is good, since they are both decoupled from the matrix. They both possess free will to lead their lives as they choose, unbribed by the constraints of the matrix controllers. It is a social programming. Neo seeks life. Smith seeks death, peace, and war. Yeah. Thank you for that. It's very nice. Nicely put. Um, yes. One seeks life, the other seeks death. And we have both. Why? Because we live in a world of duality. Right? Whew, okay. So heavy stuff. So again, love your brothers and sisters, please. Try to be a little bit more kind. Um, the way that I'm doing it doesn't mean you have to do it this way. Is I'm just shutting up. It's none of my business. I'm not going to try to convince people to think the way I think about what they should be doing and how they should be participating in this whole thing. Um, I'll participate the way I choose to participate. And I'm not going to judge people for participating the way they do because they have their belief system. I would want to understand why they're choosing why that I would. Well, why do you choose that? How come you're doing this? What is the reason? What is the purpose? Tell me, explain to me. Let me understand you. Why don't we want to seek understanding? Why do we got to force the way we believe people should behave in this whole system? Well, you should wear a mask or you shouldn't. Are you who? It's not up to me to tell you. But why are you? What is the underlying purpose for it? Why? What's your intention? How come you're doing it? And then find out why. Simple. Same with this. Why is Natalie on here every day? Well, because I love. That's one reason. Does it help me? Yeah, it helps me to get clear. It helps me to come back to love. And in hopes that something that I say will bring you guys back to your heart, to the love that you hold inside yourself, and that you guys start to co-create with the divine in you. That's it. It's very simple. Okay. All right. So I love you guys. Have a great day. And I will be seeing you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Just remember, if you didn't know today was Thursday, it is Thursday. Okay. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. I love you very, 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 very much. Okay. Bye.